Hi guys, hope you're doing well. It's Adam here from Blend Commerce. We have put together this live session today because, as some of you are probably aware, we have recently launched a redesign of our website. And I must admit, it's been a long time coming. And when I say that, I think it's probably been 2 years maybe that we've been talking about this. So not really a great example, I guess, to set those businesses out there looking to act quickly. But you'll probably hear today and understand some of the reasons why, obviously, it's taken us such a long time to kind of get to this point. Now, I think one of the things we want to talk about a lot today is that, when we think about Shopify, we often think about Shopify being exclusively products. And one of the things that we're going to talk about today is that, for us, it doesn't always have to be that Shopify is for a product-based site, and it can actually be for a service-based site like ourselves. So just to help me out today with all the big brain stuff and not just the fluffy stuff that I can deal with, I'm joined by two of my very esteemed colleagues. So you've got Ollie, who is in the top corner there. So Ollie is basically the developer on this project, one of our senior developers here at Blend. And I'm also very pleased to welcome Stefan, who is the kind of slightly better looking, younger, slimmer version of me. So thanks, and Ollie, for both being on here.
Well, thanks for having us.
Have I made you blush?
You made Ollie blush, not me.
So to answer you guys, we're just going to basically go through and we're going to kind of ask each of the questions that we've sort of pre-prepared for this, to kind of go through and have a little look at some different elements of what we're going to look at. Now, I think probably, for us, one of the things that is a good starting place is to probably have a look at our old site. Now, I kind of do this with a little bit of embarrassment. What I am going to do is share my screen. So just on the screen in a second, what you're going to see is the old Blend site that was designed. So hopefully you guys can all see that here on the screen. So this black and green theme that was going on, that we use, and this was basically one that we had probably for I think about 18 months. So I know, Stefan, sort of, when you joined the company not so long ago, I know you sort of quite interested to see sort of why we went down this route. Are you going to ask me some awkward questions about this now?
Maybe. So the one thing that I would say is, tell me why you opted for this design and what was your thinking?
So I think the thing was, obviously, like with any business, we wanted to kind of create something that was a little bit unique and that would make us stand out from the Shopify agencies. Mm-hmm. So I think, when we were looking at the time, there was a very clear pattern going on with agency sites for Shopify. And it was this very kind of clean looking, white background, big images. And we kind of said, look, we want to do something a little bit different. And as you can see here, what we did is that we kind of opted for this black and green theme. And the reason we did is that I foolishly fell in love with a website, which is this one, which is called Jigsaw. So this is actually an old friend of mine who set up a financial services company. And what you can see here, that I kind of fell in love with the sort of design in terms of the graphics. I really like the contrast of the green and the black. And I just thought this was, it was clean and it was tidy, but it also had that little bit of design element that we obviously wanted to show. Now, I think what I would say is, if you look back at our site, we didn't quite get there. And I think, it didn't quite convert in the way that I expected it to. So I think, that was kind of where the thinking came from. But obviously, we've changed that quite a bit now.
So why wasn't it working for you, in your opinion?
I think, to be honest with you, for me, is that, look, we did get some good comments on it, absolutely. But what it didn't do is, like, for example, these guys here, this is a wonderful stock image from Pexels. So great for stock images, but for us, that wasn't us as a team. And I think, the thing is that here is that it does kind of lack any personality. And for those of you watching who know me and obviously know and have met members of our team, we are quite a personal bunch, I would say. Please don't disagree with me if you're watching and laughing. But I think the point is that this, for me, I think it's quite sterile. It doesn't really show anything about us as a company. Equally as well, it's very fussy in terms of the drop down. This is just realistically just far, far too busy. And I think the main problem that we had is that when people looked at navigation, they weren't really sure where they were supposed to go. And I think you'll probably agree there, Stefan, from a UI UX point of view, that's just, it's pretty bad.
It is pretty bad, but it wasn't terrible because you were getting leads. So it was working somehow. Somehow. But no, there were a few things there. But going back to that image, before I even started, I was like, "Oh, these guys look all right. They look like a fun bunch." And then obviously when you told me that it was a stock image, I was just like,
"Yeah,
oh, I get it now." Okay, but yeah, so but for me, well, that's the only two questions that I thought I would raise.
Cool. Okay. Well, I got off pretty light then.
Yeah, you did.
I think what I'll do is I'll stop sharing for a minute, and probably just come back to the feed. So when I think we were kind of looking at redesigning, for me, Stefan, I think probably one of the biggest things was that you obviously brought from your sort of experience that UI UX point of view, but also the branding aspect of it. So for me, that really kind of worked very well to kind of get us started. So when you kind of started off with the branding piece, do you maybe want to kind of talk us through sort of how that came about and kind of the process you sort of went through with that?
Yeah, of course. So the first thing that we would kind of do was, well, when working with you, we basically just start from scratch. That's all we do. Look at the whole thing as a new piece, and worked from there really. So bunch of questions, obviously doing a standard project start, obviously getting to know who you guys are, or what dislikes, what likes you do, and all that kind of stuff. So when you become a client of ours, then that kind of gets into that process. But that's how I would like to work with brands. And on top of that, there's something that I learned a lot whilst in the industry, is archetypes. So there is a blog that we have on our site currently, so our new website, where it kind of tells you a bit more about the brand archetypes that I've put forward to you guys when doing this website and kind of rebrand. And what is an archetype is these are kind of psychological theories of brands' appearances, its relationship to customers, and their overall behaviors. In simple terms, an archetype is the personality which kind of dictates how the brands react and affect people in many situations. So that's what I wanted to try and apply to Blend, is with that understanding and those different archetypes, I could then go back, and then there's so many different psychologies of colors, typography, even ways of how a shape works on a website, for example. There are 12 archetypes, and brands could be one or several of these different archetypes. Some share the equal values and ethics. However, others are completely unique. So these 12 are the innocent, the everyman or woman, the explorer, the caregiver, the ruler or sovereign, the magician, the rebel, outlaw, the jester, lover, sage, the creator, and the hero. So commonly brands do fall under up to 3 of these categories. So if you think of a plane, you have your kind of core structure of the plane, so the cockpit and all, where all the passengers sit. And then obviously you have your 2 wings. So in that sense, there is you kind of have that one archetype that is holding all in together, but then you've got the 2 winged archetypes which hold it all up. So with that analogy, this is where I kind of got to you guys and said, so looking at all these separate archetypes, how and where do you see you guys fitting into Blend? And overall, Blend came into 3 archetypes. So as you know, but not everyone else, that the core archetype is the hero. which is a focused on achievement and problem solving archetype. Then the two wing archetypes is an everyman, which is a empathetic and intelligent archetype. So think about IKEA. It's just that warm feeling. It's that we know you guys. And the last one is the sage archetype, which is a knowledgeable, reflective, a teaching kind of archetype. So with all of those three elements going on, you have a brand. We've got something where it's like exactly who you guys are. So Blend is we see ourselves as one of the best Shopify agencies. So you're the hero. You see yourselves as intellectual for the sage part, because you're offering a lot of experience. You're offering a lot of knowledge, as well as teaching and showing, like even like this now. And then looking at the everyman, you are aspiring to be that company that wants everyone to hug. So that's the reason between those three kind of archetypes. And with them, they all come with kind of color theories, typographical theories. So when looking at sage, for example, you're looking at kind of your greens, your purples, your oranges. So already in my head, I'm like green, because I love this green that Blend have. So it's just like try and keep something. Whereas the other two archetypes, so if you look at the everyman, you've got your strong blues, you've got your strong reds, your yellows, so more of your CMYK kind of colors. So those top ones, and then your heroes, again, your purples, your oranges, your reds, your blacks. So there's so many different kind of theories going on, and then with those colors, there is words that associate to those. So when obviously looking at these colors, I'm just now going to share my screen so you can see a word cloud that I've created off the back of all of this. So I'm just sharing my screen now, so bear with me. So what you can see here is just looking at all of those different colors. All of these colors have kind of words. So and then when talking to you guys about the actual brand and the ethos of it, a lot of these words came out. So like brave, achievement, support, intelligent, proud, fast, best practice, sophisticated. So there's a lot of kind of things that was going on there. So with those kind of words, it was just then so easy just to try and get those words into a kind of a color that would suit. So with my kind of branding background, I was looking at different ways that we can tune in the colors, making them a bit more regal, more powerful. So you can see there with the hero ones here, I've made them more pastel-y rather than in your face, because the hero is in your face, but it wasn't really what Blend was all about. Every man, every woman, again, very earth tone like, and then sage is very kind of monochrome in that sense. So and then I thought it would be good just to see what colors came out of it. So proposed colors there, your green, your light purple, your dark purple, and it's kind of what you see now. So so they're the kind of the color theories off the back of those. So I don't know if you've got any questions.
Yeah, guys, please do put any questions into the comments. If you're watching on Facebook, watching on LinkedIn or YouTube, either way, those comments should come back to us. Stefan, I think one of the things for me that was quite tricky is that when I think if we think about the last website with the green and black one, that was supposed to be the hero sign. I think the problem with that is that was more of me trying to kind of reflect the way that I saw things. And what it wasn't doing is kind of bringing all those other elements that you talked about. Mm-hmm. When obviously, you kind of work with other Shopify brands that we work with, is it difficult sometimes to get to those archetypes in terms of understanding what they are? How, so if people are watching this and say, look, I wouldn't know how to kind of get to that point, what sort of process should they go through to be able to do this before they start thinking about a redesign?
Well, firstly, come to us because then we can help out. But it's to read the blog basically, and just kind of know exactly where you fit into your target audience as well. So if you aspire to be so like IKEA, for example, if you aspire to be one of them, then you know already, because with the suggestion that I said, is we know that IKEA is an everyman. So if you want to be aspire to be an everyman, go towards that side. So be humble with your tone of voice, be kind of natural, just be straightforward talking as well, because that's what they're kind of like, especially everyman people themselves. But then it's not just looking at kind of the redesign, but it's also looking at the rest of your brand, so your typography. So I'm going to again share my screen with you.
Yeah, cool.
So I can share with you what we did for Blend, and so you can see here. So as we've got those 3 archetypes, because off the back of those questions that I asked you and Peter, it resonated that there's 3 archetypes, but there's different typefaces that fall into that archetype. So many of them could be like, for the hero, you've got Poppins, Anton, Clara, and Cabin, which are kind of straight talking, in your face fonts. You've got the Everyman, which has this bit of kind of flicks and kicks to them. So you've got your basic sans or your Motiva. And the Sage typeface is very regal and kind of traditional. So you got your Garamond, even Times New Roman, for example, is part of the kind of Sage. But I didn't want to put it in there because obviously I want to try and be a bit more creative when thinking about new fonts. So you can see here on the in the middle here, we've got the old Blend font, which is the Montserrat, and Montserrat is for sure the hero typeface because it's quite bold in your face. But what I felt like it was lacking was a bit of personality, because a lot of brands are choosing that font. So Motiva Sans is our new font because it has that bit of everyman feel. And when you apply the different styles to it, it feels very hero-like. So you can see there on the end, this is just Motiva with 2 different weights. And you can kind of see that there's a bit of everyman, but then a bit of hero. And the way that your tone of voice is coming across is Sage as well as hero. So it brings all 3 archetypes together to enhance the brand even further. So to kind of go back, you need to look at the entire beginning of your brand. So really research what you think your target audience is. Really think where you feel you sit in the market. And kind of that. So then with that, we get an understanding of where you feel you can grow as a not just a brand, but with your website as well.
No, definitely. I mean, and also I think, look, just you mentioned there about the brand. Obviously, you've got. In fact, Stefan, do you want to actually pull the website up? Because I think I'm going to ask you some more tricky questions to get you back in a minute about some design features.
Okay. Yeah.
But one of the things, guys, you'll notice is the headline there in terms of the homepage, and it's what we're leading with your vision, our insights. And I think for us, if you think of what Stefan said there about the hero, the sage, the everyman, we felt that as kind of a headline incorporate all those things. Ollie, hats off to you, sir. I think you came up with that one.
I think he did. Yeah,
he did. So. Yeah, I think we probably owe Ollie a commission for that one. But I think, for me, that really what comes across there, your vision, our insights. What we're saying here is, look, when we work with a client, we want you to give what you're looking for. We're working with you as a person. We're the everyman because we can associate with you. We can associate with anyone. We're saying Sage there because we are saying our insights, because we're insightful, we're knowledgeable. But then also, I think for me, the hero part, and I don't know if you agree with this, guys, is that, that very punchy, your vision, our insights, that's a bit more bold, that kind of brings the hero in. So I think for me, that kind of came up with a nice way of matching all those 3 different archetypes together.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, hats off to you, Ollie. Thanks very much for that little phrase.
Absolutely, and we've actually got some really nice comments so far. Lee, hi Lee, how you doing, mate? And we've got a question from Lee Barnes. So Lee says, with the output of these being purely digital, did you consider the load and bloat of fonts, or purely the aesthetic? So I don't know if that's a question probably to maybe both of you there.
So I literally just Googled so many fonts out there. I did do a lot of research when it comes to the hero archetype, for example. I wasn't just looking at fonts that were quite rigid and kind of straight. I was looking at other fonts out there. So it wasn't just a few aesthetic fonts that I liked. There are fonts I absolutely love, like you'll see in there, Basic Sans, because I quite like that one. However, we didn't choose that in the end because it didn't feel right. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, it's a bit of both. I did a lot of research, but then some of the things were kind of out of aesthetics. But at the end, we kind of decided that there was a font that was just right for what we wanted.
Ollie, from a development point of view, I mean, do you find that is something that's quite tricky when it comes to choosing fonts, sort of the impact on load speed, and obviously particularly using custom fonts? Is that something that you come across quite a bit?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the sacrifices you've got to take with web fonts. I mean, Shopify has their own default fonts that they've got for you to select within the theme, but Stefan found this nice font. That's just, like I said, it's just one of the sacrifices you've got to take to implement a custom font. And I mean, the site seemed a lot faster than our previous theme anyway. So all of that together, I mean, yeah, the load time seemed good. So the font was a good choice, it turns out. And it looks amazing as well. So
yeah, but the font that was used wasn't just purely used because of the digital aspect at all. Because the font that we chose, Motiva, can be used across print and things like that. So because it's an Adobe Typekit font, and it's something that is quite kind of pleasing to the eye. Yeah, it has to, and the thing is, it's just got so many weights to it. Yeah. It's so versatile in that sense.
Yeah. I mean, just on the design features front, Stefan, I think, and Lee, thanks for your question there. I think, it would be good if you could maybe take us through some of the specific design features that you kind of brought in, because I think that would kind of, again, be quite helpful to kind of see where we were going with this.
Yeah, of course. So as you can see, what we kind of wanted to do was, one thing I wanted to try and do was keep that green. That green I like. It's not just I like it. It's already part of the blend site. So it's just like, why change it? If it's part of the archetypes, why change it? So, but the other things that we kind of added was this gradient. This gradient in the background. It needed to have that showmanship about it. So this kind of, we're like the heroes of this place, and with this gradient that we introduced was that you're bringing in a few of the archetypes. So the blues are coming from the hero, the green, and the greens coming from the sage, bringing them together. That light blue kind of comes from the everyman. So that is one of the reasons why we've got this gradient. And then also another thing as well is the shape that you can see here. Having it straight cut is good, but for a design aspect, trying to lead. There's two reasons why I wanted to introduce this. Was pointing a user down onto your site kind of gives them a bit of I can scroll, rather than telling them they have to scroll, because telling them why they have to scroll is, from a user experience point of view, is a big no-no, because you're basically telling them something they have to do. You shouldn't have to tell them what to do if your site's working well. So with this kind of shape, this elegant curved shape for this everyman and a kind of sage feel, it points the user down so they can actually scroll down the page a lot easier than than just having a pointer. So, and we can kind of see that what else we introduced was this big bold text, again, like we have in the header. So this is something that we wanted to introduce for the hero kind of side. So we know we're clarify, create, convert, which brings all three archetypes again together. So using that big typeface for the hero, the sage for the clarify, but then the everyman for the kind of create and that kind of element to it. So there's a few little things there that we kind of introduced. And one thing that I really kind of loved doing was introducing these mock-ups. This is where we house all these our sites that we've helped build and design for our clients, and these kind of give that bit of a hero feel. It's like, these are the hero shots, these are the things that are floating, just like Superman, for example. He's flying through the air, and this is the feel that I was trying to get for this as well. It feels, this is very important. We love having this testimonial piece like slap bang next to the thing we're proud of. So that's the kind of the few elements that I thought was kind of good for bringing those archetypes together, bringing the brand all into one, and then and the color basically.
Excellent. And I think, for me, what I really liked about it is, I think before, it was a lot of what we were trying to talk about on the site was all kind of blending into one. And I think the difference now is that what we've got is this approach of, look, we want you to look at this part first, then we want you to look at this part, then we want to this part, and then also little things like, obviously, with the kind of the page that we've got about design development, we're kind of pulling in some of that data that we haven't talked about before. And I think it's like with any brand, regardless of whether you're an agency or whether you are, a pure product brand, showing those things that that your product does, the benefits that you have, is something that you don't always necessarily get across on the site. It's almost too much about the actual design. Whereas I think, what I liked about your design here, Stefan, is that you're using that design to help with the actual understanding of that information, which is for me, why I really like the design when I saw it. So that's great. Thank you, Stefan. I mean, one of the things that's probably worth talking about now, guys, is that when we think about Shopify, I mentioned at the start, a lot of people kind of think that Shopify is only for products. And when we looked around our competitors, and hi to you guys, I know some of you are here, competitors and friends, most of you, Bob. The thing is, that's Bob Rockland, by the way. So hi, Bob. Hope you're well. And Louay as well. Hi, Louay. So one of the things is that obviously a lot of Shopify agencies don't tend to build on Shopify for their agency store. And I think, from my point of view, it was always a weird one, thinking about it over the past few years of why is that not the case? So Ollie, I'd like to bring you in at this point and then basically to look at from that point of view and say, well, look, why do you think that is the case that maybe our competitors, our industry doesn't opt for Shopify when obviously we are kind of using the platform every day?
Yeah, it's a good point, because like it'd be a natural way to go with like another platform like WordPress, for example, because you've got no physical products on the site, so why do you need to use Shopify? But we've got all this knowledge and experience with Shopify. Why not use that tool? Because then future clients could look at our site and they could see what we could potentially do for them. That's one thing. And then I've got a lot of WordPress experience throughout my career anyway. And when comparing the two, it's just, for sure, Shopify is just so much more flexible. It's much easier to use within the customizer. Shopify sections feature where you can just add all these modular blocks around the site. You have to build it once. Yeah, it's just a lot more flexible. And like I said, we've been working with it for a while, so it's quicker and easier for us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from my point of view, because I know it was a discussion we had from the very start about which platform we were going to go through, and we know that there were those other options there. But I suppose I think from my point of view, kind of sitting with the CEO hat on, my very flashy title, of course, it's it's also the fact that we kind of want to use our own site as a bit of a marquee site to say, look, this is what we can actually do. So I think that was another, an important one for us. And when you, like you say, because it's got that flexibility, it makes it easier to manage as an asset for us. Because obviously, as you know, Ollie, all of us within the team, can use Shopify pretty well at a basic level, me included. But it just means that we've got that ability to get things changed, quickly as we wanted to do. On the flip side, though, Ollie, what I was also going to ask is that from kind of a development side, can you maybe talk us through the theme that you used here and kind of some of the challenging aspects of doing that?
Yeah, so we went with a theme called Flex, which is developed by Out of the Sandbox. So we use that as like a basis because it's got so many different elements already in there that you can just use it as like a basis to start with and then extend on it. So it already had like the different layouts of the header, footer, things like that. So yeah, we started with that. And then, customized it. I might share my screen actually, just so I can.
Yeah, cool.
Here we go. Yeah, so here's the site again. So like I said, start with the main elements of the theme itself. Get all the brand colors in the customizer, and then obviously we're gonna have to just dive into the code and make some tweaks to fit what the mockups look like that Stefan designed. Overall it was pretty easy. There was a few little tricky things like Stefan's already gone through. This gradient header was quite tricky because obviously it's a complex looking header to start with, which is the sort of vibe that we wanted to go with on the site to show that we're sophisticated, we're knowledgeable. But then on the flip side, we couldn't just go with like a CSS, like a pure code approach because of this nice little angle here. So we kind of had to go with an image. So it was quite difficult to kind of find a balance between what looked good and what looked, whether the page loaded fast enough across the site.
Yeah, in fact, Ollie, on that point, we've got a good question here from Louay over at Q, and he said, "What about speed? Was that not an issue?"
It's every web developer's issue, every agency's issue. Right from the start, we were monitoring the speed, like working on a like development theme of this new site and comparing it to what was on the live site, and we could see the massive difference between the two themes, like the difference in speed right at the beginning, and then now we've launched, it's just so much faster. So yeah, like I said, back to the header, like it was always on our mind, like we want this site to be fast because it's going to be an example of what we can do for other clients. So I'd say that was probably one of the challenges we had, like this header here, and then also just some of these custom sections that we created. For example, the this team section here. It's not off the shelf. Like we had to build this custom. It's nice and responsive as well. But that's the beauty of Shopify sections as well. You only have to build like a block once, and then you can transfer it to whatever page you want. Just makes your life a lot easier. I think I've touched on a few challenges there, and what we're impressed with on the site.
Because I know most of that was a challenge because
but that's a good thing. I like a challenge. Like us as a team, we like a challenge. Like it would just be a bog standard site if it wasn't a challenge and the design wasn't as cool as it was.
Very nice to you, Stefan.
Say that again.
He's being very nice to you.
I know, yeah, that's a first.
But back to you though, Adam. Like, why did you, like, from your point of view, why did you think Shopify was the best choice for us then?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think the main thing for me was that and this is kind of looking from an operation point of view. I was a bit concerned about us using Shopify because when obviously we want to make change to the site, I was thinking, look, you guys have obviously got the projects for our clients that you're working on. And I was kind of saying, look, do we want to be in that position where we know that you guys can go in and change it fairly easily for us? But I didn't want it to be something that became something that was kind of a project that was always sitting there. So that was kind of a concern. But on the other hand, we also then didn't want to be obviously then having to deal with someone external to manage the site. So it was kind of a tricky decision between the two. So all in all, the fact that obviously we do have the in-house capabilities to work with this. I know we could have done that with WordPress because obviously you and Angelica and a few of the guys have got WordPress experience. But I think overall it was because the fact that when people look at the site, they probably won't automatically expect that it's a Shopify theme. And I think because we've been partnered with Out the Sandbox, and we do a lot of work with Out the Sandbox themes, it's nice to be able to say to guys, look, this is actually an off-the-shelf theme that we've customized. So it kind of demonstrates a little bit more about what you guys can do. And I think, like we do in this session now, for me, as a company, I want to be able to demonstrate the things that we're actually capable of doing. And obviously, if we hadn't used Shopify, we wouldn't all be sat here now and obviously talking about exactly what we're doing. So, I think, I'm really glad we made the choice. And the fact that we didn't go down that WordPress route, which I know obviously a lot of people would opt to do. But I think the other thing as well is that Shopify has got a whole host of apps, of course. And, I don't need to tell you guys watching about this, but for example, the likes of Klaviyo, the likes of Recharge, Gorgeous, all of those apps that we're partnered with, we're actually going to be using in phase 2 of the site. So, I should say this is kind of MVP at the moment, so minimum viable product in the sense of that's where we're starting. But we are going to expand on this. And again, if we hadn't used Shopify, yes, of course, there are similar plugins and some of the tools that there do plug into, like WordPress or BigCommerce, Squarespace, whatever it might be. We know this and we can do the marketing that we know that we want to do a lot easier with those tools. So it just felt like for us as a business, it kind of fitted into what we were good at, really. So, I think, for me, that was one of the things that could be done. I know, obviously, when we think about Shopify, again, we talk a lot about products. But if anyone out there is watching and thinking about services, the thing for us is that although we're a service-based business, we are shortly going to be offering productized services. So essentially, services, that as merchants can come onto our site, they can literally read through a landing page, they can click buy now, and then they'll be sent either a PDF with some code in, or a document or a digital download, and they can start using it again. And although we could have again used more plugins with with Woo, again, this is something that we can do really easy. And if we do, for example, want to create a paid for digital download, or selling a bit of code to do something specific, we can literally do that within an hour. It's really is that kind of thing for me that I think a lot of service businesses do kind of overlook. And I would say, look, if you are a service-based business that is thinking about using Shopify, let's say, for example, you're an accountancy firm. Let's say, for example, you are, a vet's clinic, whatever it might be. All of those, you can sell a consultation. You can sell a appointment. You can use an appointment builder within Shopify. So all those things are there. And obviously the back end of it is very easy to administer as well. So for me, that's why I kind of wanted to be clear in this session that Shopify for services is something that should be looked at more clearly. And obviously for us as an agency, it's something that we've done. So I think, guys, to everyone listening, we've probably kind of come to the end of what we wanted to talk about. If anyone does have any questions, please do shoot those into the comments on the channel that you're watching on. So if that's LinkedIn, or if you're on Facebook or YouTube, just pop them into the comments. And I think, from my point of view, I just want to say, look, to Stefan and Ollie, thank you so much, just publicly, because as everyone's seen, we've come a long way from our last site. And I think everyone that knows us well, I know we've got some of our partners here on the session. I'm sure you guys will feel that the site's a lot more reflective of what we do as a company and who we are, because we are not a black and green sterile kind of vibe in terms of the company. We are colourful. We have personality. We are bold. We are sage. We are everyman. So for me, just thanks a lot, guys.
No, all good. No, I've enjoyed it all. So, it's a shame that it's over, but no, there's a lot of things that we can still do. So I'm already in my head going, what can I redesign on this bit? So, but no, that's something obviously for the future. But yeah, no, you're very welcome, and I've enjoyed every single second of doing this project.
Perfect. Cool. Well, look, I don't think there's any more questions for now. As I said, thank you ever so much for everyone tuning in. If you are watching this on replay, just hit the comments section and ask us any questions. We'll make sure that we answer those as well. And yeah, you know, if you guys are interested in obviously working with us, whether that be for a product or obviously from a service-based business, get in touch with us because it is obviously something that we absolutely love doing. Particularly, again, you know, thinking about our whole process here. So if you're a brand that is looking for some support with branding, again, we can help directly with that, with design, with development, and with marketing. So yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thanks, guys.